Yo, what is good, everybody? It's your boy Golden Falls, Golden What If, whatever you want to call me, and I'm back. Sorry for the in-between day delay. I'm a little here and there with this channel right now. I feel good about the content. I'm happy about doing it. I have fun doing it, but I have so much other stuff that I've been doing recently, and also going through a couple of allergic reactions and stuff like that. But I've been enjoying this channel, of course, but I've been enjoying other stuff as well, so I kind of get caught up on other things, and then I'm like, oh shoot, I don't have enough time to record a video. But I'm here, and I'm not neglecting the channel, I promise. I really do enjoy what I'm doing here, and I really enjoy making these stories for y'all. And the consensus for part 1 was that you thought it was pretty good, so I'm glad to hear that. This story will be probably 3 to 4 parts, and then we're going to get on with some other stories. Not sure if I'll continue the Nafumi What If. I haven't decided yet, just because it's been a while since I made a part for that. Maybe we'll get more parts, but I'm kind of in that maybe I'll do more Deku stuff. And I might even bring the Dragon Ball stuff back. Haven't decided just quite yet. But I'll stop rambling. And yeah, welcome to What If Deku Had a Curse Blessed Quirk, part 2. And let's just get right into the what if. Let's get it. Izuku Midoriya is out with his class and currently doing a quirk assessment. Yes, this quirk assessment seems to be relatively easy for the top of the class, but for everyone else it seems like a struggle to make sure you didn't get last place. Izuku begins to blow everybody out of the water. He's gotten control in his quirk to a certain extent, but he does realize there is a bit of a stamina drain and also just an energy drain every time he uses it. He watches his good friend, or maybe even arguably his best friend Shoto Todoroki, blast through the competition as well. Really, the only competition he has is, well, Katsuki Bakugou and his good friend Shoto Todoroki. They continue on, and Izuku uses his bless quirk mainly to basically empower himself with strength, speed, endurance, and basically any type of quickness. Izuku would continue doing this and would eventually win. He would realize, though, he needs to keep a level head. Every time these thoughts of how much he despises some of these people, especially Bakugou, it seems like his powers go down and his curse powers go up. It seems as if the blessed to curse ratio is based on his emotions. He didn't really think about this, but now it kinda makes sense. When he was in foster care and he was looking after other kids and trying to help them out, he was trying to keep a positive mindset for them. Watching these foster kids that were younger than him cry, be sad, he didn't want that for them. So he was able to keep that mindset up, and guess what happened? His blessed powers accelerated immensely. So this would explain exactly how he was able to basically make everyone feel better. With that said, though, Aizawa would watch as the quirk assessment is now done. With Izuku on top, Shoto at number 2, and Bakugou at number 3, Aizawa shows a big screen with all of the numbers, looking down to see that Hagakure, the invisible girl, is the one that is in the very last place. Of course, he reveals that nobody's actually going away, and nobody's actually getting expelled. It was just a logical ruse. Momo Yaoyorozu tries to say, or basically say that she knew that this was the case, and didn't know that everyone else was clueless. But Izuku has a weird feeling. He feels like this wasn't necessarily the case. He felt like Aizawa just decided on a whim to, well, let them off easy. But that's not necessarily true either. Aizawa wasn't letting them off easy. He just wanted to truly see what they had in store, and felt that Hagakure wasn't even a person that needed to be expelled to more or less improve to a certain extent. But of course, he makes it pretty clear that once they get complacent, and if they get complacent, he will spin their heads faster than they can possibly think and boot them out of here as quick as possible. That's exactly how he feels about it, and that's how everything will be executed. He makes that abundantly clear and tells them all to wash up, get ready, and they'll be headed over to the last little bit of orientation. Of course, they do just that, and Izuku ends his day and heads off back home with Shoto. He begins speaking with Shoto, asking if maybe they should do what basically he was thinking about this entire time. Shoto asks what was he thinking about, and Izuku says to go see his mother. Shoto immediately is basically confused at why he said this, but of course Izuku knows. Izuku can tell that Shoto's been thinking about this for a while, and this would lead Shoto to actually reconciling with his mother far sooner, realizing that she is no crazy old lady or anything like that, and it's honestly a sad sight as he walks in. She seems so depressed, sad. Everything's going through her mind at once when her little baby boy is right in front of her once again. And luckily, they're able to reconcile to a certain extent, and Izuku said he would just wait out in the waiting room. But the mother of Shoto Todoroki makes sure to make it a statement to walk out with Shoto to see this young man that changed his mind so much, immediately regarding him or Izuku as her son. Of course, she would be confused at why Endeavor would even adopt another child, and Izuku would explain a bit of the circumstance. And in a way, he got his way, but in another instance, Shoto really got his way in a way that more or less would allow him to truly come to terms with his quirks. Izuku would smile and be happy that Shoto's mother would be in a good place, and hope that she would be back home in a regular household, not Endeavor's household of course, but back in her own home very soon. And she says that she definitely will, as she smiles. Izuku begins to leave as an aura, or a white aura, begins to appear around Shoto's mother, and she goes to sit down and go take a nap. Izuku would smile as they leave, and Shoto would look at him and ask why he's smiling. Izuku shakes his head and just tells him that they should head home. But even in Shoto's head, he knows what Izuku did, and he appreciates him for doing it, even without saying a word. Izuku doesn't want confirmation, he doesn't want people to praise him, he just wants things to get better. He's seen horrible things throughout his life, and basically has dealt with horrible things, so he knows what it feels like to fall into darkness, and he could do that anytime now and curse the entire world. But that's not what he wants. That Izuku inside, that happy Izuku, is still there, and he's holding on, and he wants to hold on for as long as possible. That's Izuku's goal. Of course, they head home. They do their normal workouts, sparring, whatever, and the next day they would head to school, back to UA Class 1A, getting ready for something a little bit different. Aizawa would explain to them that there is a bit of a hero practice that they're going to go through, and the one and only All Might is going to help them. Immediately, All Might busts through the door, saying his vintage "I am here," and immediately the class is shocked and begins to freak out. Izuku is happy, especially, he's seeing his idol right in front of him, and now he gets to train under him. This is fantastic. They all head out, get on their hero outfits, in which Izuku had basically done, obviously not by his mother because she tragically passed away, but it is basically taken off of the design from his mother, a design that she basically was sort of coming up with, but then also saw Izuku's notebook that in advance he's been drawing, so she tried to touch it up a little bit. Of course, the amazing people at UA and the people that make these costumes knew what to do in terms of their own touches, and we see a more ominous version of Izuku's outfit, a more darker version, but still has that green, the green accents, and also a more green coloring too. But still, it has this darkness upon it, and at the same time has a mask that covers half of his face, but also that covers his eyes, giving this basically dark eye look that Izuku wants. Of course, this leads back to an idea that Izuku feels like he's been going through and has always gone through. He lives in this darkness. He has for a while, but even though he looks frightening and looks scary, when the mask comes off, he's just himself. That's all it is, and that's all he needs to feel like. Izuku would continue on, and other people would question why his costume choice is this, but he would explain to them in short that his power is more or less a blessing and a curse, literally, so it's kind of a version of saying this. He looks dark and ominous, but at the same time, this is a hero outfit, someone that is supposed to bring the light. So everyone is kind of like shocked by this, thinking that this is pretty poetic in a way, but nonetheless, they head out to All Might and begin hearing what their next step is. That next step is hero training. A hero training that would involve 1 versus 1 combat. Izuku is happy to hear this, and just as All Might is explaining, someone steps up and says that he wants to be the first one up, and he wants to call out someone. Izuku watches on as Katsuki Bakugou steps in front of All Might and points straight toward him, telling him that Izuku Midoriya will be his opponent. Izuku looks at Bakugou and makes sure that he keeps a level head. Stay calm, stay balanced. That's what he tries to do, and that's what he's going to do. Izuku walks out with Bakugou, and All Might makes it abundantly clear that it's a simple 1 versus 1 fight, like a sparring match, in a way, but just with different terrain. The terrain is all useful and you can use it all, so whatever you'd like. And with a simple countdown, the fight begins between Izuku Midoriya and, well, former friend Katsuki Bakugou. They go charging at each other, Bakugou flying in at insane speeds, immediately shooting a blast of explosions toward Izuku's face. Izuku able to dodge relatively easily, countering with a punch himself, sending him flying toward one of the buildings. Bakugou would immediately grasp himself and make sure that he's good, exploding once again right toward Izuku. A constant, unrelenting pressure. That is all Bakugou wants. Pressure, pressure, pressure. Bakugou begins to explode over and over and over, and Izuku begins to get frustrated as each attack seems to be getting more and more quick, but he's able to then reevaluate the situation, empowering himself more and more, landing a clean punch to the stomach of Bakugou, grabbing his arm, sliding underneath him, and slamming him on the ground. Bakugou then blocks a punch coming in and is able to get back on his feet. The fight continues on, and frustration begins to boil over Izuku. Each punch, he feels more and more pain to himself. He lands a punch to Bakugou's chest, to his arm, to his leg, a kick to his face. All of this is just feeding into his anger, and he's hearing these small little voices in his head. Hearing, why did he do it? Everything he is trash. Izuku begins to hear voice after voice. Temptation of killing Bakugou, taking his life away, seems to be boiling over in Izuku. Curse, curse, curse. That's all he can hear. He begins to reach out toward Bakugou, and his eyes begin to go black entirely in his hero suit as he grabs onto Bakugou's neck and he begins to choke Bakugou. He begins to squeeze harder and harder as this black aura begins to basically show up all around Izuku, but then he drops him. Izuku then makes his aura go away, and he's now balanced once again, but Bakugou is laying there unconscious on the ground. Izuku picks Bakugou up and takes him back to where All Might and everyone else is, and they're all staring at him in complete shock. Izuku looks at them and says that he knows. He lost his temper, and well, this happened. He apologizes and says that they can look at him however they want. A monster, a hero, or someone that's just fucked up. And immediately he then tells All Might that he'll be taking Bakugou to Recovery Girl as he drags him away and brings him over. Izuku would then take a bit of a stroll around the school, leading Izuku to running into somebody that he didn't know very well, but he would bump into a boy by the name of Hitoshi Shinso and apologize for running into him. Shinso would say that it's just fine and ask if he's the boy from, well, Class 1A. Izuku would say yes, but just as he says this, it's as if his body went limp and Shinso was gone, and then he woke up. It was in a matter of a split second. Shinso didn't want to talk to anybody and just walked away, but showing something that Izuku didn't even know, well, he could do. A quirk that is extremely powerful, but he doesn't even know where he is in terms of what type of hero class he's in. Of course, later on, he would go back to class with Aizawa and ask about a boy with purple hair, and Aizawa would have no idea what he's talking about until he realizes, oh, that one kid from General Studies, Hitoshi Shinso. Immediately, Izuku has a name and asks about him. Where is he? He's really in General Studies? Why? He then explains to Aizawa exactly what happened, and Aizawa is shocked to hear this and begins to tell him that, look, that hero and hero schools aren't quite up to date. A quirk like that would be beneficial and extremely powerful in a work setting, especially in a hero setting, but unfortunately, the school formula is kind of stupid. They talk for a little bit, and then Izuku is sent home with the rest of his class. And of course, everyone begins talking about what happened. Chatter about Izuku and what he was thinking when he had Bakugou up there, choking the life out of him. Well, Bakugou, why would he do that? Yeah, they know he's a hard ass and he's not the nicest person, but what would have forced him to do such a thing? This conversation would spill over to the next day, and of course, they would get some answers. While in a group of all the girls, Momo Yaoyorozu, Jiro, and many others, including Minashido and also Uraka, they would get some answers about Izuku. Actually, from Todoroki. Todoroki would overhear this and tell them that Izuku is coming in a little bit late, but they shouldn't be talking about this at all. Izuku has been through enough. He might have shown some hard or tough guy attitude, but he won't stand for them talking about his brother. Immediately they're all shocked, but they look nothing alike, and he makes it clear that he's adopted. Izuku's mother died when he was young, and he was bullied all his life for being quirkless. Todoroki looks at them and says not to say another word and not to bring it up to him, but there's a reason why he acts the way he is. Now, who do you think bullied him when he was quirkless? Or, well, who do you think was one of the people that really made his life hell? Todoroki would walk away, and he just felt the need to protect Izuku. It seemed as if Izuku always protected him, made his life better. But Izuku never made his own life better. He never blessed everything around him so that his life would be perfect. He's not rich. He's not famous. He's not a pro hero already. He's not in a perfect situation. Why? Why is he not blessing himself? Other people only. Of course, he gives himself power using his quirk, but that's completely different. Todoroki doesn't know, but he wants to make sure that Izuku is fine, good, and he makes sure that his brother is okay. Of course, this would lead to Izuku heading back into class and not many people even talking about it. Some would even apologize for the way that they looked at him. And Izuku says that it's completely fine. It's not a big deal. He's sorry for being so stern and kind of mean looking when he said those things. He didn't mean for it to go that far, but he just wanted to basically have them realize what he was thinking and what was happening. Of course, Izuku just sat down and began waiting for Aizawa, but what none of them knew was that something was coming. Something was on the horizon. Aizawa would tell them that they have a brand new way of training, rescue training, the USJ. He would tell them all to hop on a bus and they would head over. They did just that. They began speaking about Quirks, who's the strongest, but all of this would come crashing down extremely quick, faster than they possibly could imagine. Life isn't so simple. Izuku knows that, Todoroki knows that, and maybe some others, they know that. Well, someone in that class of course knows that. But life, especially as a hero, is the furthest thing from peaceful and the furthest thing from, well, fun. Izuku and the rest of his class would arrive at the USJ. They would walk in, And Pro Hero 13 would greet them just as normal. But when they do enter the building, everything begins to shut down, everything begins to change. An overwhelming fear or feel of darkness begins to, overwhelm Izuku. Izuku begins to get chills down his spine, skin crawling as if there's spiders on his arms, and he begins to itch, scratch, and then he realizes something. Something is coming right now. He looks at Aizawa and tells them that they need to get out of here now. Call for backup, something. Aizawa looks to Kaminari and he says no. He can't call anything, it's not working. Izuku looks toward the middle and he sees at the bottom where there currently is a fountain. Izuku can see a portal open and villains begin to pour out. Izuku begins to shake, tremor, and Bakugou walks by looking at him oddly, asking if he's scared. Immediately Izuku looks toward Todoroki and his eyes grow wide and he shakes his head. Todoroki begins to think that maybe he is scared. Maybe he's petrified. What's going on with him? Immediately Izuku is no longer next to them. He's gone. Immediately right in the middle of all of the villains, as a dark aura begins to appear around him, he stands in front of every last one of them. It's weird. He can feel every piece of dark thought, every darkness, every horrible thing they've ever done, and all the reasons they've done it for. But there's one that makes him crazy, that makes him driven, almost insane. He can feel the maliciousness alone because of it. The guy with the hands on his body. Izuku, in his head, is pointing and looking straight at him. This man. In his eyes, Tomura Shigaraki seemingly is a normal person. A person that's been broken. Why was he broken? Well, not only did All For One, or whatever malicious monster that's up there, took him under his wing, not only that, but his hero, idol, someone left him to a family that didn't care. Izuku can feel all of this, all of this, all because Shigaraki has a curse. That is his curse. Abandonment. They let him go, took him away, treated him like garbage, said he couldn't be a hero, threw his dreams aside, and then that one man, that one evil man, took him over, brought him in, treated him as if he was powerful, treated him, in a way that would force him to do things that All For One would want. Izuku stands in front of all of them, and some of the lower tier villains question what's even going on, what is he doing, as one after another begin to drop as they scream in agony, terrified at what's in front of them, as if there's a monster ripping their face off, digging into their own heads, each and every one collapsing to the ground. Aizawa activates his quirk toward Izuku, but nothing even works. Immediately all of those small tier villains are on the ground, and their skin is this boiling red color as if they've been cooked from the inside out, and nothing. Everybody is standing there shocked as all of these villains are laid out on the ground, not moving an inch, not 1 inch. Immediately the darkness begins to shrink, but not shrink enough. Shigaraki looks at this boy, looks at Izuku in complete shock. What the hell? What the hell are you? Izuku looks up and he looks at Shigaraki and says, broken, just like you, Tenko Shimura. And immediately Shigaraki's face drops. How does he know that name? How is that even possible? Immediately calling out the Nomu steps out of a portal, but Izuku is staring back into another monster's face. Izuku is not afraid. Izuku knows what he's doing. And that is a wrap for part 2 of What If Deku Had a Curse and Blessed Quirk. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like. Make sure to leave a sub. Make sure to leave a comment down below. All that good stuff. And I hope y'all enjoyed, and I hope all of y'all have an amazing day. Later.